That's 34 kilometers swimming, or 21 miles. 895 kilometers of cycling, or 556 miles, followed by 182 kilometers of running, or 113 miles, in what ended up taking 7 days, 12 hours, and 5 minutes. This is just Abhejali's latest feat of endurance. Welcome to Marathon Swim Stories, where we explore the human side of the superhuman feats of endurance swimmers. I'm marathon swimmer and coach Shannon Keegan. It's at least 80% mental. Abhejali agrees. How do you train your mind? Reach out to me if you'd like some ideas. Shannon@intrepidwater.com. I hope you enjoy Abhejali's story. Hello, Abhejali. I'm so honored to have you as a guest today. Please tell us, where are you and what's your story?
Hi, Shannon. I'm so happy to be here. So my name is Abhejali, and at the moment I am back at home in Czech Republic in Zlín. And the story, well, I guess we will get to that. But I'm an Ocean 7 swimmer, and I this year, just like a month ago, I did a English Channel triathlon. Which was swimming the English Channel and then biking and running all the way to Czech Republic.
Amazing. And I love the cause. Tell us why you wanted to do that.
I just feel, sometimes we as people, we build barriers between each other. And, it's like so common for countries to split. And for example, for the UK to get out of the European Union. And I think it's just like all in our mind. And we have, it's like these borders, we build them ourselves. And if I can get all the way from Dover to Prague, which is 1,111 kilometers. I'm not sure how much that is in miles. Okay. Then it means that we are close to each other, that we are like a world family. So that's the idea behind it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Tell me, when did you get wet first? How did you start swimming, and why did you decide to swim the English Channel and all this?
Well, I was a swimmer when I was a kid, like maybe till I was 11 or 12 years old, but my main stroke was breaststroke. So when I first heard, I started meditating with Sri Chinmoy when I was 18, and then I became a member of Sri Chinmoy marathon team. And the motto of the team is self-transcendence. So at some point, I started first as running, but then I heard about members of the team who did swim the English Channel. So I thought, okay, well, if ever I would do the swim, I would have to do breaststroke, because that's the only stroke I can do for forever, kind of. But I never really, really wanted to do the swim. But then my friend was inspired to swim the English Channel. And since she knew that I, like swimming, then she asked me if I would be her crew, which I agreed to. And then somehow she felt she wasn't ready for a solo. So it got turned into a relay. And since I already, like had a free time to go, then I was part of that relay. And I remember it was super cold and I didn't want to swim a solo. I was like, no, it's not for me. I'm not good with the cold. And I even told my friends at home, because they knew, I liked transcending myself, because I did all these like 6-hour, 12-hour runs. I told them, if ever I get this idea to swim solo, then tell me it's cold and you don't want to do it. My friends did that, but then somehow, I guess once you get wet in the English Channel, you just want to come back. So 2 years after the relay, I was back. I gained like 10 kilos, which would be probably 6 pounds. 6 pounds, 20 pounds.
Wow.
For that to really kind of get used to the cold. But I was back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So did you grow up in the Czech Republic?
Yes, I grew up in Czech Republic, and Czech Republic doesn't have an ocean or sea.
Right? Yeah, you're landlocked. I grew up landlocked myself. But there was what's it like? Like, did you had so you had swim lessons, and you said you learned breaststroke. I'm wondering if it's kind of part of the culture there to get kids in the water or not, or is it?
It is pretty much like when kids go to school, they learn to swim.
Okay.
So that's definitely good. Like the rate that people know how to swim, I guess most of the people will know how to swim.
Yeah, it's not part of our schools in the US, unfortunately. So we don't. So I feel like it should be, but it's not part of our schools.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
it
it's
should.
just very important. Yeah.
It's a life-saving skill.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you okay, got it. So that helps me understand a little bit about so you enjoyed the practice of swimming, but until you'd kind of been challenged in the tell me again the name of the meditation practice that or the group that you
Sri Chinmoy meditation group.
mm-hmm. And you started that at 18. Tell me a little bit how you got into that. Curious.
Oh, I actually just saw a poster about a meditation class, and it wasn't that I, was looking for something like that, and I was actually, quite happy, but I guess something was missing, or like so. I went to that class, and I really enjoyed that feeling of quiet in my heart, and like the first thing I really liked the people who were doing the classes, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
I want to have this kind of peace and quiet as I could feel they had.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I became interested, and I enjoyed doing little meditation every morning. So I continued, and then I've been meditating since then. I am 44 years old now, so it's been some time, and I still feel it enriches my life. It really is a very important part of my life, and it definitely helps my swimming and other endurance sports.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you're kind of primed for endurance sports with kind of that
Yes,
foundation. You know what you're getting into
yes,
when you're like going into your head.
yes, definitely, and I think all this endurance, there are different percentages, but I think it's definitely at least 80% in your head or
Mm-hmm.
mental, and then
Mm-hmm.
the rest is physical.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a big advantage there. So basically, my training for the English Channel took only 1 year, and it was mainly about getting used to the cold, and
Yeah.
of course swimming distances. But the cold was like my worst fear, because
Mm-hmm.
I remember from the relay that was just super cold. So, but I knew I could, last for long, because before that I did a 6-day run. That was the longest event that I did. So I knew I could last for quite some time. I
Mm-hmm.
had to get used to the cold.
Yeah. Tell us how you started doing the long runs, just out of curiosity.
So as I said, the motto of our team is self-transcendence. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of started to explore what that meant. And I remember my first run was maybe 5 minutes long, and I felt like, okay, that's really good. But then I did like 2 miles and 10K and half marathon. And then it was just really like 25 years ago, we started organizing the races for 6 hours and 12 hours and 100K. And I wanted to try those races. So it was kind of like step by step increasing and kind of widening my horizons, you could say. Because
Mm-hmm.
if someone told me, oh, you will do a 6-day race, I would tell no way. But if
Right.
you do, like 2 hours, then 4 hours, then 6 hours, then of course you can see, oh, I can probably go a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like really gradual expansion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But on the swimming side, you kind of just jumped straight into a relay in the English Channel. You didn't.
I did the relay. Then the next year I did the swim across Lake Zurich, which is actually a race that we organize as a
Okay.
marathon team. And it was actually super cold as well that year. It was the coldest. I have done the swim a few times since then, but it was just super cold. And I knew I really had to gain weight and really had to
Mm-hmm.
swim in the cold. But I somehow felt that, I could do the English Channel if I managed to do Zurich Lake.
Mm-hmm. Um, tell me about, so this fear of the cold. How did you walk into that? Like,
into the
like, yeah, I mean, like, how did you like mentally prepare yourself for that?
for the cold.
Hmm. Yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
that was your biggest fear, that's
Right. Well, I guess our body is really great. We just have to give it time to acclimatize and get used to the cold, which I didn't do for the relay because the change was kind of last minute.
Mhm.
So I knew I just have to swim in the cold and just get used to the feeling that you are cold. And it was actually interesting this year. So my first English Channel swim was 10 years ago. And then this year I did another English Channel swim. And I mentally knew, you're cold when you're training for the English Channel. But I really forgot the feeling of being cold all the
Mhm.
time. So
Mhm.
it was actually tough for me to start training this year, with the feeling, okay, you just have to get used to being cold all the time before the body gets used to that. So I guess I just was ready to give myself a lot of time to get used to the cold. And the problem also is that when summer starts, or like starting at the beginning of June, every water lake here gets too warm. So
Mhm.
what I had to do, and it was, I guess, the toughest part of the training, I would take a bath and, like put ice in the
Yeah.
bathtub and try to stay in for as long as I could. So that was tough. And then one thing that really, really helped me mentally was going to Dover 1 month before my tide started. And at the time, Freda Streeter was doing the trainings there. And I remember, like, during my trainings here at home, when the water was cold, I would get warm drink like every 20 minutes. And when I got to
Uh-huh.
Dover, Freda told me, okay, she asked me, like, when is your tide? And when I told her it was in a month, she was like, okay, you will do, I think, 5 hours. She told me, and she said, oh, and don't come out, for a drink before 2 hours. So then I was like, oh, I can't survive 2 hours. And she was like, go. and it was sad, but, and then the water was like 13 Celsius. It was really cold. It was beginning of June. But I managed, I survived, and it helped me mentally a lot because I knew the water would get warmer in a month and that I should be okay.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome that you took the opportunity to go and have someone kind of push you out of your comfort zone
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yes.
Oh man, that's amazing. So tell us what was like the first your first English channel. So yeah, tell us what it was like the first after the relay, when you decided
Mm-hmm.
to go back. How did you you said you did the Lake Zurich as a to prepare. But what was it like the day of the swim? How did that go?
I was actually lucky because I had a daytime swim, so I started when the sun was coming out.
Oh.
And I have a friend from Scotland, and he did the English Channel then maybe 10 times. So he was kind of my advisor of what to do, what to expect. And one of his last pieces of advice was, in case you get seasick, but you won't get seasick, it will be okay. It will go away in 5 hours or 6 hours. And I never got seasick during the training, never ever. Even during the training in the harbor, people got seasick, but I was okay. I was like, that's not for me. But then, like when I started swimming, after 45 minutes, I got really seasick. And there was nothing they could do on the boat. I couldn't keep, anything in. But I remembered his advice, okay, you just have to wait for a few hours. And really, in 5 hours, I got used to the movie. Like my body got used to it, and I was okay, and I could start eating and drinking. So that was like the challenge at the beginning of it. And after that, it was difficult, but I was really enjoying being in the water and just being
Mm.
grateful that I am in the water, kind of singing in my head different mantras or, different songs. There's actually a song that Trichin composed, and it starts, I'm swimming in the English Channel today. Don't ask me to sing it. It's a difficult song, but I was singing in the song. uh, it just gave me so much joy. It says about France and England dancing together. So it was just really nice to get to France. I got to France when the sun was just starting to set. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds perfect to start when the sun's rising and land when it
Yes,
sets.
yes.
Did the tides change on you like towards the end or anything?
I mean, I didn't make it to the Cap Green. I made it more north towards the sun, but it was okay.
There
I
wasn't any.
got there. Yeah, I mean, the day seemed to be perfect, so there were many boats out. Not all of them made it, but it just I was just happy to get there. I didn't really worry about what my time would be or anything. I was just happy to get to France.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you I guess you had been there before. I feel like that's a huge advantage, like having done the relay. So you kind of knew, I don't know, like when you're trying to kind of visualize a finish and push yourself through any tough parts, it helps to kind of have been there. So,
It was actually part of my like mental preparation before each training. I would kind of try to meditate for like few seconds, but imagine I'm doing this training because I want to swim to France. And the other part of the preparation was really imagining myself getting out, onto the French shore.
yeah,
So that definitely helped, I think.
I think so too. Yeah, I'm a big fan of spending that time of,
Mm-hmm.
of envisioning that successful
Mm-hmm.
finish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to go back a little bit to getting from breaststroke to, I guess I assume you finished freestyle. So
Yes.
yes, okay. So how did you make the transition from being just kind of a person who enjoys the water and doing breaststroke to learning a crawl?
So actually, my friend that was supposed to do the solo and then change it into a relay. So she didn't know how to swim freestyle. So she went to some classes with total immersion,
Mm-hmm.
and once or twice somehow I was there. So I said, okay, I will just go with you. And I didn't really know that like I would need it in the future. But I just really loved water, so I was like, okay. I mean, I could go with a learning more freestyle. So that's how I got, first. I mean, of course, I knew how to swim freestyle. If you're a swimmer, but I remember during the trainings when I was a kid, when, there were times when we all had to swim for 1 hour freestyle.
Oh,
And that
wow.
would be my nightmare, training, because I would would just die after 1 hour. So and then I remember in one of those sessions I really could feel, okay, now I am moving forward and it's kind of effortless.
Mm.
So then I started swimming more freestyle, and then when I signed up for English Channel, I knew it would have to be freestyle because it's just
Mm-hmm.
faster and you're just warmer when you swim
Mm.
freestyle than breaststroke.
Right. Yeah, that too, for sure. Um, take us on the so what happened between the 2 years? Between not the 2 years, the two swims. So you did the Ocean Seven. Tell us about that. Oh yeah, that whole thing, all those swims. What made you think to
Well,
do the Ocean Seven, first of all?
um, I thought that after I did the English Channel swim, I was done with swimming. That I would just go back to my running. But then, a year after my English Channel swim, I signed up for a swim around Manhattan because the 6 day race that I did was in New York, and I ran a marathon in New York. So I kind of like the idea of seeing Manhattan from the water perspective. So I signed
Mm-hmm.
up for that. And then my friend did Gibraltar. So I thought, okay, I kind of could do 18K, and I like the idea of swimming from one continent to the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
So, so 2 years after my English Channel swim, I did Gibraltar. And then while we were, and then the next year, I didn't plan anything. It was just like, okay. And then somehow I got involved in another channel relay.
Somehow.
So it kind of felt like, okay, maybe I just should stay involved with the swimming. And then while we were in Dover for the relay, we met people who just did Catalina swim, or a guy who just lived there, and he said, you could use my kayak, and he told me how beautiful the swim was. I was like, no, I'm not doing that swim. There are sharks, and everything. But somehow, once the idea is there, and I had a friend living in San Diego, and I could stay there and train with her, and my other friend was visiting there, and she could help me on the boat. So it was like everything was falling into place for me to do the swim. So the year after, I did Catalina, and it was just beautiful with the bioluminescence, and the conditions were really good, and I just loved it. So after that, I told myself, oh, like, you can't stop like this. It's just like way too beautiful. There were dolphins there. It was just really, really beautiful.
So at this point, you've done the Triple Crown and Gibraltar, right?
Yes.
After you did Catalina?
Yes.
So what was your favorite of those?
Oh, Catalina. Till today, Catalina is definitely my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was thinking what I could do next, there was this swim in South Africa, Robben Island swim, that I kind of had in the back of my mind for quite some time, to honor Nelson Mandela. And it's quite a cold swim. So I thought, okay, like, now is probably a good time to do that swim. So I went to South Africa, and the water was even colder than usual. It was just like super cold. And even, none of the local swimmers were swimming that weekend because it was just too cold.
Wow.
But I was there, the weather was swimmable. So it felt kind of weird not to give it a go.
Right.
And towards the end, I was kind of veering off from the boat, and they were worried. But it was towards the very end, and my friend jumped in and swam with me to the shore. So I did that, and that was kind of like eye-opener, maybe, or made me think about it. Because I mean, by the time I heard about Ocean 7, but I knew there was the North Channel, and it was just super cold and colder than the English Channel. So it was never like on my mind that I should do the Ocean 7. I was like, no. Mm-hmm. But after this swim, it was just like the path was slowly unfolding in front of me. And then I thought, okay, maybe, if you really prepare properly, gain extra weight, and then, it should be okay. And that was when I made the decision, okay, I will go for the Ocean 7. And then I booked Tsugaru was next, which was, I have a friend in Japan, so it was really nice.
I love this. You have friends everywhere you go. It works out really well.
We are really international. The team is international.
That's lovely.
So it was just nice. So we were, we stayed at this ryokan with the, all the locals and the swim. And I was really, really lucky that whenever I went somewhere, I did get to swim. Like, the weather cooperated. Not this year for the English Channel, I had to go back, but for all the 7 swims,
wow, that's awesome.
It was really good. And I did get to the other side, always. So it was really nice. So there was Tsugaru it was tough because there are some currents, and then when you start swimming Tsugaru, you don't start from the shortest point. You kind of, the boat drives you down, and then you start swimming. And then I saw, the shore, but I was kind of still, not the other shore, right? but the shore where the boat started. So it was also tricky mentally. Like, I could see this shore, and I thought, okay, I will be there really soon. But then it took like ages to really get there.
How do you work through that? How do you work through some of those tough mental spots?
Well, the first thing to do is not to really ask how far you are, or right. Look how far you are. And I know that, but I was stupid again this year. Like, usually I'm really well behaved, but this year, I was like, okay, how far? After, I don't know, like 12 hours, how far to go? And they told me 2 miles. And then, of course, your mind calculates, okay, that's like an hour. So 1 hour and a half, I ask again, so how far? And they tell me 1.5 miles. And then your mind goes really crazy because so then you stop asking and you curse yourself, like, why have you asked in the first place?
Yes.
And then also, like, I could see France and we were not getting any closer to it. I could see without even looking while I was feeding. So I guess that's where meditation plays a big part. Like, you try to calm the mind, just feel, get into your heart, be happy that you're there no matter what, and just that you have to be patient and just like place one hand in front of each other till you get there. And it's not easy always, like, to get into that space right away.
Yeah.
But it's good to get there.
Yes. Yeah. So Tsugaru got there, success on the first attempt, and then what was next?
So then it was then for the next year, which was 2017. I planned 2 swims. One was Hawaii, which was in March, and the other was North Channel, because I thought, okay, I will train the distance, and then I will still have time to train for the cold water.
Yeah.
So Hawaii is actually it seemed like a kind of an easier swim because it's the warmest of the 7,
right?
But it was the most difficult.
Is that right?
More difficult. Yeah. Because it's long, first of all, right? It's 42K, but then there are these huge swells, so I got seasick. I mean, I got seasick almost on all the swims, not Catalina though. But then I was seasick like the whole night for 12 hours. And if you can't really eat or drink anything for 12 hours and you swim, it takes a lot out of you. And then there was current, and I was swimming again. I was stupid enough to ask, like, when we started at 5 p.m., then it was not dark by 6. And then it was already the next day, and I could see the sun was, like, it must have been after midday. So I was like, okay, we must be getting there, And I asked, and I think they told me like 8 miles. So it's like, okay, 4 or 5 hours. And then I was going like half the speed. I normally do 2 miles per hour, and I was doing 1 mile per hour.
Oh, geez.
And then at the very last mile, they told me, okay, you have to get there in an hour, otherwise there is no chance of you finishing or something. And they told me to sprint. And how can you it took me like 22 hours, so how can you sprint after 21 hours? And then mentally again you are trying to not think about not making it,
right?
You're just praying, really, okay, just. And I could see, the bottom, but I could see that I wasn't really moving that much. So it was tough, and it took really a lot out of me. That's when.
What was the sorry, it's just gonna ask, what was the training like for that over the winter? Did you do all pool training?
It was kind of all pool training. That's the trouble, that you can't really get proper like distance training. Yes, mainly pool.
Yeah. So, but 22 hours later, you walk up on shore with a sprint for the last hour.
It was nice because I finished on Sandy Beach, and they announced in the loudspeaker, okay, this lady has just swum from Molokai. So it was nice, but I was definitely very exhausted. And also, like, the swells were so high. Usually they try to have people fly to Molokai and then swim, but the swell was so high that we had to take the boat from Oahu to Molokai. And that's tough mentally as well, because it took us probably 4 hours, and we were jumping up and down on the boat because of the swells and the waves, and then that you have to swim all this distance. So that was a tough swim. And then I got stung by I think it was a box jellyfish, so it was very painful towards the end. So yeah, it was a tough swim. I mean, it was beautiful, like, you can feel the vastness, and that you're just this tiny speck, you know, in the mighty ocean, and that you just have to stay, you know, humble and just be, just do what you have to do. But you are really like tiny thing.
Yeah.
We people usually think that, you know, like we are these lords of the world, but we are not.
No, we're just little tiny dots,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds really like the boat ride over and then having to swim back. That does sound really hard. It's like knowing exactly what you're in for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the waves and stuff too. Like to be, I mean, I guess that's with Catalina too. I hear of a lot of people talk about getting seasick on the boat ride to Catalina and
Mm-hmm.
then having to swim back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it comes with the territory, right? Okay, so what was recovery like after a 22-hour swim and you got the North Channel coming up? Are you putting weight back
uh,
on? How's this going?
you know, like my throat was sore for quite a few days and I could only drink. And then we were also doing a peace run there. And somehow I thought, and usually after a big swim, I can't sleep that well.
I
So
can't
I
either.
missed
It's
one
horrible.
night. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I missed one night, you know, during the swim. Then the next night I couldn't swim. Couldn't sleep. And then again, I was so sunburned because, you know, your sunscreen doesn't really last for this long.
Right.
So it was like 3 nights without much sleep. So it took me, yeah, probably a week or two to really, you know, get some strength. And I didn't feel that weak, but then, you know, during this peace run, which is a relay, torch relay, I wanted to, you know, just run really slowly, but I couldn't. I just had to walk
Your
because
body
I
was
just
like,
really didn't have, yeah, no way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's amazing to think of. So, I want to hear more about the relay, but take us to the North Channel first. So let me forget
Okay.
to come back to I think the relay is really cool.
So North Channel, for yeah, it's cold.
Just get that out of the way.
So,
It's cold.
so I started eating a lot, really like eating a lot, and I'm a vegetarian, so it's tricky to gain weight, you know, when you eat carrots and stuff like that. So I ate a lot of cream and a lot of sweets. Oh, yeah, so that was like big part. Somehow I had this weight in my head somewhere. Somehow I got it in. So I was trying to reach that weight. And then I started swimming outside as much as I could. And then I went to train, you know, to visit my friend in Scotland. And I trained there when the water was probably 11 Celsius. It felt really cold.
51.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And I couldn't really last for even an hour. I didn't
Wow.
manage.
Yeah.
And it was kind of middle of June and I was booked for middle of August. So it wasn't that much time to really get to that. So I was really,
It's
when
like
I got
the
home,
warm, balmy summers.
yeah, yeah. So I was taking all these ice baths, and then I went to train again to Scotland for a week, and I did my 6-hour qualifier there, which was important to get that done.
Yeah.
And just the body got used to it, but it was tough. And I remember, you know, the friend that was there with me in Scotland for my training, for that week of training, she was really amazing. Like she would be on the shore and make sure I would swim with my buoy also to make sure I was okay. And our like security procedure was never jump in for me. If I'm in trouble, call someone, otherwise we are two in trouble.
Right.
And she was just amazing being there for me and making sure I would survive. And then she was there during the swim as part of the crew. And at one point I told her, I feel a little bit cold. And she she told me only later. I was like, no, you're totally fine. You looked much worse during the training.
Yeah.
So then in the end, like I knew I would have to swim really fast. Or I mean, I'm not super fast, but I just like try to swim fast to get there as fast as possible. I would even kick. Usually I just, don't kick
I'm with
that
you.
much.
Right there with you. Yep.
But it was good. There were some line main jellyfish. I got stung a few times, but it wasn't anything too bad. The weather was kind of good. The sea was pretty calm. And at one point, they had this discussion on the boat, like whether to tell me that if I speed up a little bit, I could beat the record. So then they decided, they would tell me that I might be upset if they didn't tell me. I was like, sure. I'm just trying to swim as fast as I can. I mean, I wasn't upset. It was just, like nice to the idea that I could actually be fast. And it was pretty fast. It was actually like 10 hours something.
Wow. That's fast. Yeah.
So in the end, it wasn't as tough as I thought it would be.
Right. Right. Did you do like warm feeds and stuff?
Yes,
Yeah.
we always do warm feeds. And for that swim, I really I had custom made earplugs. That was one thing that I did for this swim. And also like from Ayurvedic point of view, like root vegetables are warming and cinnamon is warming. So I had a soup with all
that
these
sounds
kind of
amazing.
warming ingredients.
Yeah.
So yeah, we tried whatever we could think of,
Yeah.
to keep me warm.
Warm inside. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. Okay, so then you've got like 5, 6. What do you have left?
That's Cook Straight only, I
Cook
think.
straight.
Yeah, Cook
Yeah.
Straight. So Cook Straight, actually, I wanted to do Cook Straight maybe even after my English Channel swim, but it was just very difficult to get a spot for that swim. So it had to be my last swim. And it was like half a year after my North Channel swim. And it was tricky because it's not as cold as the English Channel, but still it's cold. And it was winter here.
Yeah.
So I went in like March. So it's tricky to get some training in cold water. I would go outside, swim outdoors, but then it's freezing cold. So you
Right.
stay
You
in
can
for
only
like
go
5 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit tricky to really, just know that you will be okay in the cold water. And I went maybe a week earlier to do some training in there. And I always imagine this very flat sea, like the mirror like sea that you're swimming through. But then when I was in New Zealand, there was this cyclone coming. So we even had to fly earlier to Wellington, and then we were not sure if I would get to swim at all. And the conditions, like if this was my first swim, I wouldn't go in. It was tough. The conditions were really tough. And I think I was like the second slowest swimmer in Cook Strait. And for quite a few hours I was swimming in one spot, and whenever I was feeding, we were going back. So it was tough. So I guess like the last step usually is the most difficult one. Like you have to really prove that
prove it. Yeah.
you want to get there, you deserve to get there. So after Hawaii, this was my second kind of most difficult swim, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one are you most proud of? Which swim? Including this year's. Including any swim.
Well, probably North Channel in a way, because that was like my mentally the hardest, even just to say, okay, I will try. So even though it wasn't as difficult in the end, like just saying yes to do the swim, I think was
huge.
Yeah. And because I was reading like about people being taken into emergency room after, or even not finishing the swim. So it was just tough to be mentally ready but physically ready as well, and know kind of the if you're okay or if you're not okay. So yeah, just the like thin line in between.
Yeah, that's huge. When you're doing, so in 2018 you finished Ocean 7, right? Yep. And you were the first Czech?
First Czech, yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. When you're doing all that training, are you also doing running and other stuff when you were doing those swim training?
Only in between, like when I was in like real training before, like a couple of months before, I would maybe run like once a week just to get to work, you know. It would be faster than taking a bus or something.
Love that. Best
Yeah,
reason.
but yeah, or bike, but just, you know, again, like I don't know, 4 miles to get to work, nothing else much.
Tell us about the torch relay. Tell us.
Okay, so the peace run, it's a torch relay with a, you know, flaming torch, and the message of the run is that peace begins within ourselves, in our heart.
Mm-hmm.
So that meaning, like, if I'm not peaceful and harmonious, you know, within myself, I'm not happy, then I can't really, you know, share any peace. And also, like, the second part of the message is that it's like peace starts with me. Like, I can, it's not just the politicians that have to do something about, you know, making the world a nicer place, but I can do something as well, you know, like with whatever I'm doing in my community, in my club, with my swims, you know, you inspire people. So it's just about, you know, sharing. And actually I have run you know, the Pacific Coast road with the peace run with the torch, and it's my favorite part
very cool.
of the US, because you get it's warm in summer, but you still get the cool ocean breeze and ocean air. So, and it's a beautiful way of meeting different people in different countries, but also like getting to know the country, because you're not, you know, driving in a car or flying. You're just like moving really slowly, 7 miles an hour, and you get to really see that the world is such a beautiful place, and the people are so nice, and it's just really like a one world family.
That's beautiful. So how does it work? Like, yeah, how does that work?
So we are all volunteers. So usually it's I would take a holiday to go on the peace run, and even the organizers are volunteers. So we you know, we visit schools. So we call them in advance. Okay, the peace run is, the torch is coming. Would you like us to visit? And we talk to kids exactly about peace, and just that they can do something to make it happen. And then we talk to mayors, or, you know, sometimes we get to meet presidents. But it's like the running is a means to carry the torch and to see more people than if we just, you know, walked, or and it wouldn't be really that nice if we drove in a car.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just like this effort that you have to make, and that's, I think also we have to make the effort to whatever, do the swims to make the world better. It's the effort. It doesn't come just by itself.
So does each person, like, is there like a big group of people and you like take turns?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so it's a team, probably around 10, 12 people, depending on the time, and they are cars, so there's always at least one person running. It can be more people running, locals can join us, and then the other people drive in the van. And for example, in the US Peace Run, we have an RV and two vans, and, you know, like someone makes lunch, they start running later, and the other two teams start running, and then someone finishes earlier, then they make dinner. And so it's like a full-on job, but it's really nice.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. How often does it happen? When will a peace run be coming near me?
I think next year.
Really?
Like it happens every 2 years. It happens globally. So 2019, we did actually a run around the whole globe on the southern hemisphere. And US Peace Run happens every 2 years as well.
Okay.
So hopefully next year.
Okay. I'm gonna look it up. That's awesome. There's so many things that we could talk about. I want to be a little respectful of your time though too. Let's see. Talk to me a little bit about so endurance swimming versus endurance running versus there's this biking thing that you did too. So talk to me a little bit about the differences, the similarities. I don't know, all that stuff.
I think swimming is more difficult in a way that you can't really stop and rest. Whereas if you bike or run, you can just sit and put your legs up, and you are not moving further away from your goal. I mean, you can wait and lie on the water, but yeah, there are currents.
You might go backwards.
Yes. So you don't really want to do that. So I think that's the tricky part. On the other hand, like from swimming, I think especially when I'm swimming, outdoors, not in the chlorine pool, but outdoors, I recover much faster than from running because there's this whole weight impact on your body.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like the combination of all the sports. It somehow has something special in it. Like swimming can be lonely, but you can also get deep inside yourself. Like you might need to dig in if the conditions are not really that great. But also if the conditions are good, you just really get into this meditative state, like you're breathing regularly, your mind gets quiet after sometimes, because there's just like nothing much happening and you can just be really in the zone. Whereas on the bike, like when I biked from France to Czech Republic, was like there was traffic around me, so I had to really focus not to bump into anything, and like that took a lot of mental energy, but it was nice and it was just like much faster than swimming. Really covered quite a distance in a day. And then running, it was like how many marathons? It was like 5 marathons I had to run at the end of that.
Wow.
It was in a way, I knew like once I get to the start of the run, I should be able to make it somehow all the way to Prague, even if I had to walk, because you just know that you can do it, unless you have some kind of injury. But then it was still difficult because the body. I mean, I had a English Channel swim in me. I did 900K biking, and the whole thing took me 7.5 days. Wow. So the body was kind of getting tired, and after the biking, my diaphragm was somehow stuck, so I couldn't breathe really that well.
Oh no!
I mean, I knew I wasn't getting a heart attack or something, but I didn't really know how to help myself. I mean, we figured it out in the end, but still, I could stop, I could sit, and get a massage, which you can't really do while you're swimming.
Right? Yeah. Wow. So how much did you said there was 5 marathons? How many days was that last part when you're like post bike, post swim, you're exhausted, you're probably going to get there, but how long did that last part take you?
It was 2 days and 2 hours, something like that.
Wow. But you just like slept at night or sort of?
Yes. Even for the biking, we always slept for 3 or 4 hours, because
3 or 4 hours.
Well, but better than nothing.
Yes, I guess.
And actually, the first night of the running, we slept for maybe 6 hours because I felt I had no energy, apart from that I couldn't really breathe, and it didn't make. I thought, okay, if I can get a proper rest, then maybe I will be able to run in the morning much better, because the first day I actually kind of had to walk.
Yeah. And how long ago did you finish that?
A month ago. September 20th.
Oh wow. How's the recovery going?
It's actually quite good, I think. I
Mm-hmm.
tried to eat really well. I tried to sleep a lot. And I mean, there was a lot of work waiting here for me because, I had to go to Dover, I had to quarantine. So I was away for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then I had to come back to Czech Republic because the weather wasn't good and I had to
Yeah.
go
Oh
there again.
gosh.
And it was postponed, from July because some countries restricted entry from UK. So it was like this whole thing. So there was a lot of work waiting here for me. So I couldn't like take days off, but it was good just to really sleep a lot and eat a lot.
Yeah, once you can do you have the same thing after running where you have trouble sleeping the same way you do after a long swim?
Actually, even like after this swim, maybe because I knew I just had to get rest, I could sleep even after the
Oh,
swim.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I could, like during the whole week, whenever we got home, I got a hot shower, which was amazing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can take a hot shower.
Yeah,
So I took a hot shower and then I went to sleep and I fell asleep almost right away. So
I
it
bet.
was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Body's like, thank you. I'll take it 7 days later. That's amazing. Amazing, Abhejali. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Do you want to take marathon swim stories with you? Subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. Want to connect with like-minded limit pushers? Join us for Marathon Swim Stories live on Tuesdays at 5:30 a.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, 13:30 GMT. Thanks for watching.